What's up guys, welcome back to the Enduro Mike YouTube channel. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a little review on my Wattbike Atom version 1. Now I know that there is a version 2 out there now, but I've owned this for coming up on a year and a half, and thought I've had it long enough to give a fairly good overview of the pros, the cons, the drawbacks, and what you should look out for. You know, potentially if you're thinking about getting a used one. I know that they don't really sell them new anymore. So let's get into it and look at the pros and cons of the Wattbike Atom. So, first of all, I suppose I want to start off by saying that I do actually believe that this is the best training tool that I've ever had. I love it. That's not to say that it's perfect, and that's not to say that Wattbike are perfect, and as I'll discuss, you know, there's quite a lot that I think they need to work on. But in terms of a device that really helps you to take your fitness on, especially if you're looking for performance, there's not much out there that can beat this thing. I absolutely love it. It's actually made me like training indoors, which usually I don't. So let's talk about the bike itself. It is a Wattbike, as you may have guessed. It's quite different to the normal Wattbikes. So Wattbike you've probably seen in the gym works off magnetic and fan resistance. So the fan resistance giving more resistance as you increase speed and power, just like a rowing machine does. And then your mag resistance is kind of more linear in terms of the resistance that it gives. So you turn it up, it gives you more resistance. A bit like what you would do on a spin bike, yeah? So that's your gym-based ones. So this thing, as if you've looked at them, you'll know it doesn't have a flywheel or anything on it. So it's completely magnetic resistance, and it's actually controlled digitally. So it's controlled from a screen and from these shifters, which I'll show you right now. Okay, so that's the screen. So you can see in the center there you've got the readout for your pedaling efficiency. Mine's a bit dodgy at 46 at the moment, but that's because I'm not really pushing much resistance, and I'm only warming up, so that's fine. You've got, you can see my finger, the readout for how your pedal stroke actually is. So you can change the colour of that. See, it goes yellow and then green depending on how much you focus on your pedal stroke. So that's quite a good little guide for how your pedal stroke's going. Other readouts, you get your time down the bottom there, lap time, your wattage here. So with the good thing about this is you can either go with gears, so if I toggle there, you've got gear settings, and then you've got erg mode, so ergo mode, that sets a wattage and then it'll adjust automatically to that wattage for you. So that's kind of cool. Get your cadence readout, heart rate, etc. So you can adjust your wattage up and down on here, going up there. Hold this here, see if this works. Down there. That's about the only adjustment you can really make from the screen. And obviously if it's in gear mode, it'll do the same thing. Then you've got your shifters, so your shifters have a button on the top and then two buttons here. This one, left hand one, toggles between different screens, so it'll toggle between that readout and that readout. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the shifters in a second. As you can see, I'm pushing the buttons and nothing is happening. So this is one of the drawbacks that I'm going to talk about in a second. This shifter does gears. As you can see, pressing buttons, nothing is happening. So it's a bit of a drawback. I use my Garmin on here, as you can see ticking away there, and I'll explain why in a second, but that is the readout. It's pretty good. But we'll talk about that again in a sec. Okay, so yeah, that's the Wattbike hub. You've got different workouts and stuff on there as well that you can use. Because I'm actually riding, I can't show you them, but I might show you them afterwards, maybe. So, you can also use it on Zwift, you can use it on Trainer Road, you can use it on any of those things. One of the criticisms that gets leveled at the version 1 Wattbike is that it's a little bit slow to react in terms of its resistance changing. I can't really pass judgment on that, to be fair, because I hate Zwift, so I don't really use it. I only use Wattbike Hub and music to entertain me. I'm not a video game guy, so Zwift just does nothing for me. But one of the criticisms is that it's not very quick. Although, if you look at the Facebook groups and chats about atoms, it's 50-50. Some people say that it's really slow and some people don't. So, I would say it probably falls somewhere in between. One thing that you absolutely will notice, if you're going to buy one of these and you think that you're buying a spin bike, you absolutely are not. So on a spin bike, once you're moving and the flywheel's going, you can't stop pedaling because the flywheel is there to help with the movement. On this, it's got a freewheel. Yeah, so you can hear it spinning around there. You can stop pedaling. So that makes it quite realistic, and being 100% honest, this is the most realistic indoor bike I've ever ridden. Even more so than my own bike on a turbo trainer. I really don't like turbo trainers. This thing is a lot better than that. So that's cool. It's nice and sturdy. As you can see, like, at the moment I weigh about 75 kilos. It's not moving at all, it's really solid. Which is nice, instills a bit of confidence in it. So those are all the good things. I will do a video about training with power. And once I do that video about training with power, I'll talk about why Wattbikes are a great invention, the usage behind it. But the other thing to think about, if we just come back to talking about spin bikes, is that because it's not a spin bike, you can't use it as a spin bike. So my wife teaches RPM, the Les Mills program, and she has tried to use this a couple of times to do RPM classes on. It just doesn't work because it definitely isn't quick enough to respond on that. And then when you get out of the seat, it's just a bit loose, let's say. It's a little bit sloppy. It doesn't have that tightness that a spin bike would do. So it can be just a little bit dodgy. It's really not designed for getting out of the seat other than every now and again, just to give the nudgers a bit of a rest. So excuse me if my pitch changes a little bit. I've just gone into a little tiny interval. So that's that. Good points, as I've said. It is the best training tool that I've come across. I suppose it's probably a good idea to talk about some of the bad points now. So, being honest, the bad points haven't impacted me hugely, but there's a couple of reasons for that. So, first of all, let's talk about the initial purchasing experience. Now, over the summer and over the whole lockdown period, I think everybody will have noticed that, you know, training from home has become a big deal. And if you have a look online, so I have trade accounts with, you know, with Madison, with Chicken Cycle Kit and a few others. You can't buy turbo trainers at all online. They're sold out everywhere, even now. And we're sort of getting into the end of the year. So demand has massively outstripped supply. And that was the same for Wattbike. So Wattbike kind of went into, I'm going to say this, near sort of meltdown state, I suppose, where just deliveries were taking forever. And they were getting longer and longer and longer, which is cool. But I think that situation could have been managed better. Now, I'm not going to say that it impacted me because I've had this for a year and a half, so like my experience when I purchased it, was so smooth and so easy. It was really good. I'll give them credit for that. It arrived exactly when it was meant to. The guys who delivered it were wicked. So I can't fault them for my delivery, but I know that over the period of time in lockdown, it was a problem. Another slight issue, and this is something that does annoy me, and Wattbike, you need to sort this out, being honest. The shifters don't, well, for me, they just don't work. So I had my bike 6 months, and the right hand shifter for the gears just died one day. And so I thought it was the battery, and it changed it wasn't the battery. You can also switch the shifters around by unpairing them and repairing them. And what happened was, when I tried to pair the left one to do the right one's job, it worked, but the resistance was just flying up and down and flying up and down. So that meant that in effect I didn't have any shifters. So I was controlling everything from the screen, which, like, it's alright, but if you've got something that's meant to work, it should work, right? Yeah, we kind of all agree on that. So that's a problem. Now, where it becomes more of a problem is that when the engineer came out, he said it would have to go back to Wattbike, which was like, alright, cool. And at that point in time, my aim for the year, because it was before everything had got cancelled, was Ironman UK, to go and try and qualify for Kona. So I was like, look, if it's going to go back to Wattbike, I need a replacement. So they said that that might take a few months, and in the end it was a couple of weeks, so bang on customer service. Well done. But it turns out that that was possibly the best decision I ever made, because once this thing went back to Wattbike, they had it for, I don't know exactly, but I know it was at least knocking on the door of 4 months. Now, I don't know whether that's because they knew I had a replacement, or whether it's because that's just the amount of time it took. But if I had sent this back and not got a courtesy bike, I would have been absolutely livid. So I'm not sure where that sits, but like I said, it didn't impact me, so bravo Wattbike, happy days. However, maybe think about that for the future. On top of that, when it came back from Wattbike, the shifters still didn't work. So again, I was like, oh well, maybe it's been sat for months and the battery's dead, so I've changed the batteries. Nothing. Then the left-hand shifter went, so now I have no shifters again, which is annoying. But on the other side of that, I use Training Peaks to set up all of my sessions, and all of my sessions are mapped out to power. And the reason I've got my Garmin here is that my Garmin can control the Wattbike hub, so I don't really need the shifters. So again, it doesn't impact me that much, but you need to sort it out basically. Wattbike, like, you should not have had my bike for upwards of 12 weeks and it come back and still be the same. So at the moment I'm waiting for them to come back to me and see what the next stage is, but it's not annoying me too much at the moment. So those are the bad bits. There is one more bad bit, which is the saddle. I know some people get on with the saddle, but literally I found the saddle like sitting on a razor blade. So I don't know, if you have a Wattbike Adam, drop into the comments below, let me know whether you like the saddle or not. As you'll see, mine is no longer the Wattbike saddle. Yeah, because I just couldn't deal with it. So, I suppose, good and bad bits. On the whole though, I have to say, I do absolutely love this thing. Right. It appeals to my nerdy numbers nature. It's really smooth. As you can hear, it's really quiet. If you compare the noise of this to the noise of a turbo trainer, it's very different. And at the moment, you can hear me getting out of breath because I've been pushing 325 watts for the last couple of minutes, and you can still hear me talk. Yeah? So, if you can imagine how noisy 325 watts is on a normal turbo trainer, it's a bit of a legend. And that's about it, really. So, my advice, if you've got 1,500 quid sitting around and you want something that's going to be a really useful tool for your training, then I think you could do a lot worse than looking at one of these things. However, Wattbike, if you're watching this, you do need to think about your customer service, and you do need to think about your service department. Although, I think with coronavirus and stuff, we can let you off a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. Anyway, that's it from me. Hopefully you find this to be useful. A little bit of insight. I can go into more detail, but I think this has been long enough for now. So, I'm going to leave you with a bit of music in the last minute or so of this. That's what 5 minutes at 325 watts looks like. Guys, thank you for watching this video. I know it's been a long one. I really hope it's been useful. If you think it has been, and you think other people should know the ins and the outs of the Wattbike Atom, please feel free to share, like, comment below if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. And if you would be so kind, click the subscribe button down there and the notifications button so that you can get told whenever I've done another video. At the moment, they seem to be every day, but I'm sure that will change. Guys, thank you very much. My name is Michael. I will see you again very soon.